Hi guys, last video of 2015. It's Laura at Sheer Passion. Thanks so much for the last year. It's been wonderful. There's been so many amazing things that I've learned, even just from myself, just by doing my videos and learning how you guys see me versus how I see myself, and how we either connect on these subjects or we don't connect at all. So let me preface with, as we start 2016, we just have to remember that we're going into next year with all of the things that we had happen to us last year. So whether it's politics, whether it's the faith that you're coming from, the families that you're coming from, the jobs that you're coming from, or the dreams that you're not making, or the new goals that you are making, that's the person you're taking into 2016. And it's really important to understand that we can't relate to anybody in politics, and we can't relate to anybody at church, and we can't relate to anybody at home or at work until we relate to ourselves. If we're not willing to back up into our childhood, and we're not willing to back up into our teen years and our young adult years, we're not going to relate very well into our future. How can you go to work and be the best worker if you don't always know what you're doing and what you're reaching for? And who exactly are you mentoring after, whether you have a faith or you don't have a faith? And are you capable of being honest with how you feel about yourself and how you feel that these people treat you? One of the things that I've learned over the last year as I've been asking people about videos is to talk to me about why they like or dislike what I talk about. And very quickly, people get stumped because there's not much to say other than, well, I think you're angry, or I really like what you're saying because no one says it. There's a large gap in there of where people can't relate to me at all. Very quickly, I started to understand how people do not try to relate to others, and how we don't know how to, because you can't relate to somebody else until you truly understand yourself. You truly understand your arrogance, your selfishness, your insecurities, your confusion, your fear, your anger versus your joy, your happiness, your excitement, your surprise, your contentment. These are things that if you do not understand them, you won't know how to develop them when you walk out the door. You cannot just arrive at maturity coming from an immature state unless you've learned from an experience or someone else's experience that you've lived through and you've seen the changes from. In 2016, I just want to wish everyone one of the most amazing years of our life. That doesn't mean it's going to be the most fun, but it'll be the most challenging, because I've learned in the darkest times of your life, you're going to learn the most about yourself. You can't be in a great relationship if you have no idea who you are. You can't be in anything when you're not bringing something to the table. You can't be a part of a community if you don't know what your role is. You can't reach out and serve if it's keeping you from taking care of your responsibilities. You can't become something greater if you have no idea who you're taking there. You must think through everything you do in each relationship, in each part of your life. You have to think emotionally, spiritually, sexually, intellectually, and you have to work on those. Physically, if you don't look good and you physically are ill, how can everything else be okay in your life? Emotionally, if you can't speak about how you feel and why you feel that way, how can everything else be okay in your life? Financially, if you're not willing to show people anything in your checkbook, how you spend your money, how you collect interest, how you pay your bills, when you pay your bills, taxes, if you pay taxes, are you interested in being financially out of debt? Is that where you're headed? Do you live within your means, or do you spend more a month than you make? How can anything else in your life be okay? Be in balance. Spiritually, how do you know you even have a spiritual life? What are you basing that on? Just because you go to church? Just because you say you believe in God? How can that be in balance if you don't understand why you would choose a God? What is this God in our lives for? Do you believe in the triune God, the Holy Spirit, God's Son, Jesus, and God Himself? the Trinity creating one. Do you believe in that God, and do you believe you are afforded salvation? And if you do not, why believe in him at all? These are things that I'd really like to challenge us in 2016. If you can't answer all of those questions absolutely and definitively, I would like to know how you do anything in your life or how you hold others accountable. Because if you don't have those questions laid out, then who are you taking into 2016? Who will be creating those goals? Who will be going on those vacations? Who will be paying off those cars? Who will be seeing their children off to college? Who will be deciding who they're going to be in 2016? Which part of you are you taking into that? The whole part of you? All of the forgiveness for the mistakes that you've made and the awareness that you need to be accountable to what you do, who you are, and why you do something? Accountability is fantastic, but it is missing in this world. There's not a lot of people who can talk about politics because they do not want to talk about money. They do not want to talk about religion and different sexual orientations or abuse, immigration, because we don't understand it. We don't want to understand it. It's not our job. And so as we go into 2016, a year where we are voting for the president, I want to challenge us that we have no idea who we're voting for if we do not know who we are. We need to stand up. We need to get real. We need to start empowering human beings to be better than we were yesterday, because we're absolutely capable of it. But if you can't answer those questions, there's not much relating you'd be able to do to me. Because when I speak about a subject, I'm speaking about it from an experience standpoint. It's not really up for debate unless you're part of the equation and see it differently and bring something to your side and speak about it with me. So I want to say thank you once again. It's been an amazing journey. 2015 is a year that has been challenging, but also so amazing. And I love that I've been able to go through it with my husband and my stepson. They're everything to me. They're so gentle and they're so kind, but they're also so wise. And the one thing that we'd say in this house is the Suggs house doesn't back down from anything. We're not embarrassed to share with you anything we go through. We're not embarrassed to show you things that go on inside of our lives, whether it's our pocketbook, whether it's our cell phone, whether it's our computer, whether it's our schedule books. We are just such an open book because we are not ashamed of anything that we do. We want to be open and accountable to all things because we believe if somebody else feels a different way, that's okay. We've got nothing to hide from you. If you feel differently, share it with us and let's talk it out. I don't see a whole lot of people out there doing that. There's a lot of obligation to believing that we're better than we are. There's not a whole lot of freedom in pretending you're someone that you're not. I know that we can be better because God has created human beings and they're fabulous. All of our emotions are fabulous. And if we listen to our emotions, we pay attention to what we're feeling, and we're accountable to every single part that God has put inside of our bodies, I do see us changing. Every time I sit down with somebody in my chair and I talk to them about things from their childhood, things into their teen years, their young adult years, college and after college, it's a blur. Most people have been coping through life and have absolutely no idea why they do what they do. Thank you so much for allowing me into your lives, because I know that my personality is pretty brazen. It's pretty difficult to understand. If you've tried to relate to me, kudos. Thank you so much. If you've gotten upset, irritated, okay. Hey, not everyone gets along. It's okay. I would challenge you, though, to not stick it out with an emotion, but really figure out what bothers you and what's the side that you're coming from. Share that with me. Share the perspective. Share it with yourself. I'm part of this community. I'm proud to be a part of it. I've got nothing that I want to hide from others. I think if you can say the same thing and you disagree with me, then you have found a way to live your life and really believe that you are part of this community and you're bringing your best you. I want that for 2016. I'll be starting a blog. I'm going to be writing it weekly. I'm going to be talking about why I speak on certain subjects, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into my childhood and my faith. So when you see me on the videos, you're going to understand some of the gaps or chasms in my speaking that you might not understand what I'm speaking about. I'm going to always come from the side of humans and that we were created for a reason, and I'm not ashamed of that, and I love every single part of our emotions. I also love to talk about how convenient it is to fall into cliches, to fall into sects of society that want to talk about politics or religion or the absolute opposite of that. They don't want to talk about it at all. And how I see that destroying our communities and our families because we're incapable of really understanding that we need to talk about it, we need to communicate about it, we need to have feelings, we need to be able to work on them in a real way, and how that affects our communities. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. And I still challenge you to look into media, private media, on the government. Try to research as much as you possibly can that has nothing to do with turning the television on and using the clicker. That's too easy. There's no way that there's truth coming through there for you to be able to sift through. You're going to have to take yourself out of something that's easy and go focus. There are answers out there. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. Over and out for 2015. This is Laura at Sheer Passion, SHEAR. I'm thinking that I'm going to call the blog Sheer Passion 2, like the number 2, Sheer Passion 2. That's going to be in the newsletter, and I appreciate any feedback at all. Thanks so much. Happy New Year.